crazy cool stuff on this map, but it'll still be interesting to see. As I mentioned earlier, I am the caster for tonight, Drenok. You can find me at twitter.com/Drenok, and I hope this is going to be a great solo cast. Quick shout out also to Team Gravity for letting me cast and putting on a fantastic show match tonight. The winner of this show match will get $60, while the loser 20. Either way, you come away with money, but you definitely want to be that first place, making a nice chunk sum to bring home to, I hope, GuMiho's and Seed's wives and kids. You never know. Something could bring it home to someone. I was saying, sadly, we will not have those preliminary matches, but these will still be incredibly good. A quick shout out to our fantastic sponsor, Spawning Tool, before we get into these games. All the games tonight, all 7, hopefully, of this best of 7 will be uploaded, or hopefully it will be an entire 7-game series, but they all will be uploaded to Spawning Tool, where you guys can look at them. You can maybe copy some builds if you see some cool stuff. Overall, look at meta, do whatever you want, because spawningtool.com is incredibly cool. There's a lot of really nice features and ways you can look at information that you may not have thought of. Whatever English. No one cares about English grammar. It does look like we'll be getting into this soon, waiting for the players. I love how the Koreans, they don't say ready, they say GG. It's not like good luck, well played. It's not, oh, ready for this. Like, good game. I already won. That's what they do on ladder, sadly, though. GuMiho and I believe Seed are both currently in WCS, if I can find that wherever they are. WCS point-wise. Maybe not actually both of them. I know GuMiho, I'm trying to look through their Wikipedia. No, yeah, both of them are in WCS at the moment. So, both very experienced and doing quite well for themselves. I thought GuMiho was a little bit older of a player, but it looks like he's actually not necessarily older of a player, but I thought he wasn't playing as much anymore, but he is actually playing a decent amount now. 22nd WCS, so he could be a contender for BlizzCon, anything like that. Tonight, though, his one goal, that's $60. First map, as I mentioned, it's going to be a PvT, or a TVP, on Dash and Terminal. Big shout out also to the lovely observer and streamer tonight, Beast. It's Beast. I have to see what names this guy's got on himself, but just a quick shout out, as I mentioned, to Beast. Thank you for doing all this, and all the lovely viewers in chat. If you want to, I know we do have a poll going. You can hit up and see what's going on right there. Who's going to win this best of 7? GuMiho or Seed? Definitely a shout out to Hitbox. Really cool and innovative way to set up any streaming at all. You can actually even post GIFs in the chat, which sadly I am not 100% sure how to do. I'm not quite that technically inclined, but someone is out there. You can put GIFs, you can do polls, you can do a plethora of things. You can get a little Twitter box up here I'm looking at, which I don't know what that's for. Ah, cool. It's I'm still not 100% sure what it's for. Connect to Twitter. Okay, cool. But a lot of functions Hitbox can do. Looks like GuMiho's ready. Still waiting for the lovely Seed, playing under his diamond account Frost. It's a good name. Probably gonna butcher it. By the way, both of these players, I believe, play for MVP. So this could be really interesting seeing these players play against each other. As usual, a lot of the hype matches, the best of 7 matches, have been against players that know each other quite well. Without any further ado, guys, Dash and Terminal is loading. It's going to be a TVP best of 7, GuMiho versus Seed. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you can, please follow us on Hitbox, or if you're on Team Liquid at the moment, please come over to Hitbox and watch there. A better experience, and you get to support us a little bit more directly. Alrighty then. We're in game, and as soon as it starts, our man in the middle left spawn position. From MVP, it is the blue Terran player, GuMiho, floating to that gold. While his opponent in the bottom middle right. I don't know if I'm observing or not right now. Okay, cool. Yeah, no worries. And his opponent in the right-hand middle side, whatever you want to call it, right-hand side of Dash and Terminal, is the red Protoss player, also from Team MVP. It is Seed. GuMiho starting it off with the crazy lift to the gold base, which is definitely a cool thing to do on Dash and Terminal. Like I was mentioning, there's a lot of little things you can do on Dash and Terminal which divert from the meta. And it's not only for Terran or Zerg. As a Protoss player, you can get out a really quick mothership that actually gets to the Terran base before any units are there, which we could see happen purely because GuMiho is now even closer to Seed spawn position. But this extra gold boost, it's going to take a minute or two to repay itself for the lost early mining time. But then again, that is a lot of extra minerals coming in for GuMiho here. And when you're Terran, you can throw those all into Marines and have an incredibly potent and lethal force. Our lovely player Seed, going one gas, not super aggressive. I'm guessing it's going to be Gateway Expand. Has a beautiful, don't want to say wall off, but truly a wall off versus Reaper right here between the gold and that, or between the gold and his main base, just to make sure no Reapers get up. Sadly though, he's not going for an early scout, just hanging out on his side of the map, and that's going to prove slightly painful for him. Gotta remember, this is a best of 7, but like I was saying, still, this is game 1. That could throw you easily. Both players are world-class players, still could do a little damage. GuMiho getting down double refinery. I'm guessing is going to start pumping out Reapers, something like that. Maybe go up to a factory instead. But for now, though, that income boost, which if we look at the actual workers, GuMiho is down by 4 workers, but has about the same income, maybe even slightly more. That is actually because 3 of Frost are in gas, but now the SCV of GuMiho scouts, sorry, not Frost, Seed. His name's Frost on the in-game. Seed's SCV here will get a nice scout off, sees the mothership coming up, but now GuMiho has 3 Marines. Is he going to start making Reapers from this, or maybe go factory? There's the factory being thrown down, and he's going to be able to get out what I presume will be a Widow Mine, something of the sorts. Maybe a Hellion because he has that boost of minerals, but he's got 6 mining gas. With that Widow Mine, he could potentially do damage to the Mothership Core. Oh, these Marines, 5 Marines right here, targeting down the Mothership Core. Mothership Core barely will not die, and he did not scout that base, but from the trajectory of those Marines, I assume that Seed knows about the location. He's got 1 Stalker being sent over, which is a little bit gutsy. The Marines can catch up to the Stalker if they're not careful. Tech Lab going down on that Barracks. Stim is on the way, but now, oh, the Stalker's got to be careful. 6 Marines here. Stutter stepping, but oh, Stalker gets his kill. They want to head out of here now. Marauder is also here. No concussive shells, though. Seed is taking an interesting play off of this, or just an interesting reaction. He's actually taking a quick natural base, which may be to compensate for that gold income that GuMiho has. Currently, GuMiho still, I want like maybe 10% more minerals. Actually, it's 800 to 600 now, so a little bit more, but he's actually down 4 workers, surprisingly enough. You have to factor in gas, of course, but GuMiho is slightly ahead. Reactor coming down for GuMiho. Tech Lab with Stim. Stim's about a third of the way done, and this is just going to be a super heavy bio push. 2 Stalkers of Seed, barely holding that Xel'Naga tower. They got to be careful, though, because the GuMiho could attack incredibly aggressively with very little pre-knowledge that Seed may have, purely because Stim can move so quickly. 3rd Rax coming down for GuMiho. His factory is kind of doing some weird meandering around, trying to get a better position. But back to Seed here. 2 more gates coming up. And you know what? I like this move, trying to maybe compensate for not taking that gold base. And really, I feel like it was a cool idea when he had the Stalkers and the Xel'Naga just checking when the attack was going in, because it's kind of the situation when you have Zerg facing anyone else. They're getting up their economy, and they just want good map control, so when you start pushing across the map, they can pump their units out. But now, Seed is not going to have his units in the correct position. A Marauder, 2 Marines, and a Widow Mine coming down on the main. There is no detection. Gateway's almost done. Potent Overcharge goes down. 1 Widow Mine is dropped, and barely the medevac will get away. 1 kill from the Widow Mine. Not quite what it wants, but now the natural base is going to be at jeopardy. There's Marines coming down. 2 Marines in the Marauder, though. Not quite going to be enough. Medevac is slightly low on health, so it's got to be very careful around these stalkers. GuMiho using that factor to get some high ground vision, and I was thinking he was going to mix some Reapers in, but that's not going to be the case. Currently, GuMiho has 12 Marines, 4 Marauders, 2 Medevacs. This is incredibly potent versus only a couple Stalkers. Photon Overcharge will discharge with that. We don't mind finally. Observer sees it, and it actually goes on the factory. But for now, Photon Charge is done. There's going to be another Photon Overcharge barely when its attack hits in, but now GuMiho has Stim. Stimming forward, there is 1 Sentry, but not quite enough. Only 1 Force Field. No more Guardian Shield will be able to go down, but GuMiho saying, you Photon Overcharge in the natural, I'll go up into your main. Focusing down the robotics facility, desperately. Seed trying to Chrono that whatever he can. Probes are being pulled in the back. There's only 3 Stalkers and a Zealot. Robobay goes down, a Mortal inside dies in it. And now GuMiho just gets out of that death trap situation with all the probes, but GG. GuMiho takes game 1 with a nice float to the gold. I thought that was a really innovative, almost attention. What is that word? Almost defense from Seed. Normally, you see that Protoss players just really get a fantastic economy up. A fantastic, just aggressive stance up to be able to defend this. But that was not the situation. He decided to go maybe a little greedy, which I think almost would have worked. He just needed maybe 1, 2 more sentries or a couple more small gateway units. By the way, am I breaking up at all? Because Skype says internet's bad for me right now, but I'm not sure. My lovely obs. Okay. Well, I'll see what that is right now. It's only a best of 7, so hopefully not too much. But if it gets worse, I can go out and check and make sure if nobody's watching Netflix, nothing like that. I don't think they are, but we'll have to see. Game 2 will be on Terraform. May I remind you, this is a best of 7. So there's a lot of possibilities that can happen. I like the opening dash and terminal from GuMiho here, and now we're going to see how Seed is going to defend it. Dash and Terminal was GuMiho's choice, so I believe, yeah, Seed chose Terraform. So we'll see how he's going to utilize this map. A strong Protoss player, and also, I don't know if it was GuMiho or Seed. It was GuMiho actually used to play random. I was going to say maybe Seed has some shenanigans he could pull off on Terraform, only because you know how a Terran player is playing, even not a Zerg, whatever it is, if you have the other guy's mindset in your head, you can potentially mind game them quite hard. We'll have to see how that'll work out, though, with a Seed's intentions for Terraform. I don't know if it's the best map for Protoss. Definitely if you get a nice death ball, you can take those bases in the middle, which have the exposed kind of spines, the mineral lines, if you may, for a base. But you can do that, and with a death ball, you can have relative ease defending your first, second, third base, or your first to fourth base as a Protoss player. Get a swig of water. And again, just to give another quick shout out before we get into this to the lovely sponsors, Hitbox. If you're on Team Liquid right now, please head over to Hitbox and see what's going on and just see in general what other stuff they have streaming. But please follow us on Hitbox. That is Team Gravity. Same thing on Twitter. I believe it is /Team Grav. That is TEAMGRAV. I was actually really impressed by my spelling right there. I just got to say that. I didn't think I'd get that right. Like, Seed is ready, just waiting for the Honorable GuMiho. He's in game. But like I was saying, I'm really excited to see what Seed is going to utilize on this map, purely because it is his choice. Yet, on the other hand, it could just be something like a Coda, an Echo, I can't remember what the older standard maps are, but it could just be I feel comfortable on this map, and nothing too crazy can happen to me. Without any further ado, though, loading in 2 players from MVP. Only 1 player, though, will come out of this game and come out of this series with his $60. Tell me if I start breaking up, by the way, Observer Beast, and then, like I was saying, I'll go out and check. But without any further ado, guys, top left-hand corner, the blue Protoss player, currently down a game with a little bit of an unorthodox defense. From MVP, it is Seed. And in the bottom right-hand corner, Red Terran player, also hailing from MVP in Korea, it is GuMiho. That's starting with any early base shenanigans. Not really much you can do on this map, but I know these players know each other, both from the same team. You could potentially have some funny shenanigans go on, just like, well, I know you play like this, and I know exactly how to counter it. Then you're like, I shouldn't have trained with that guy for so long. For now, though, nothing crazy. Like I was mentioning, there's actually some cool things you can do with taking these open-backed bases in the middle of the map with those exposed mineral lines. Even though at first it looks pretty scary, it's easily hit. If you're playing a death ball style as Protoss, you can kind of make it work if you position yourself between that open-backed base, your natural, and your third. It's a little bit more central than taking a complete vertical baseline, your natural, the third base on the left hand, and then the third base vertically from the natural, and then the fourth base vertically from that. You got to go all over the place to properly defend it. Same thing as a Terran player, you can do some cool stuff. I'd say maybe not quite as much taking that gold base, or sorry, not the gold base, the open back base. But it's definitely a possibility. GuMiho is just opening what seems to be a standard Reaper expand. As I say that, it is not. Seeing this more and more in the meta, it's actually, it's actually going to be a Marine into Factory, just a little bit more, it provides you a little bit more quick opportunities to tech up into certain tech paths instead of committing to the Reaper and the expand. If you scout your opponent maybe, or if there's aggression coming towards your way, you can switch it up, be aggressive a little bit earlier on with this Marine opener instead of the Reaper. There's the Factory going down for GuMiho. While his opponent in the top left, Seed is going out for that quick gateway expand. Pretty standard in PvT. Getting the Cybernetics core before the Nexus. I've seen some really greedy builds where you have not done this. And I know the lovely Poison and Chat and I were talking about this earlier today. What the difference is between doing the gateway and expanding or the gateway cyber and expanding. Essentially with that Cybernetics core, I know it's 99% times more common than the other way, going gate into Nexus, or Nexus first if you're really, really gutsy. But it does allow you to get out a little bit quicker Mothership core and Sentry, whatever you need to do to be able to defend this. Neither player has scouted each other yet, but it will be Seed for the first scout. He will be met by a plethora of Marines right here. 4 Marines going all over the map. There it is, cleaned up. GuMiho is keeping with his cheese from Game 1, SCV, 4 Marines going across the map. As I said, the Barracks into Marine, instead of the Reaper fast expand, is a little bit like the Gateway fast expand if we kind of do it to PvZ. You have the Forge fast expand, which you can't do quite as many shenanigans with the Nexus first. Or you have the Forge first or Gateway fast expand, which provides you a lot of avenues for aggression. You can switch it up, which is exactly what GuMiho is doing. These 4 Marines will knock on the door of the Stalker in the Protoss base. May even get the Stalker right here. 1 SCV is ready, possibly to throw down a bunker. We'll still have to see, but all those Marines gotta be careful. Once they're down to the count of 3, and even less than that, it's so easy to die from Stalkers, from Mothership cores. Second Stalker is out, and these 4 Marines will give their lives for the Dominion. 1 SCV is going to try to drill claw the Stalker, but nope. Overall, that Stalker is now a fantastic disciple. Actually, both of them are disciples. Come on, man. You need to have... Oh, they both have 2 kills. Never mind. So you need to have better... You'd have a better... what's it called? I guess advances in pay. I'm not sure when you kill stuff. GuMiho is coming across the map. The lovely GuMiho, red Terran player here. With the medevac, 3 Marines and a Widowmine are going to come down in the main of Seed. He does have a quick enough observer this time, though, even though it's not the quickness of Dash and Terminal, that Widowmine. Still a pretty quick drop. There's the boost into the main. Observer is there. Does GuMiho know that? Maybe not. Photon Overcharge goes down. That 1 Widowmine desperately tries to get up, but nope. Will get sniped. Now 3 Marines trying their hardest to snipe the Sartosis pylon. Is it going to happen, though? 1 Mothership core is going to say no, and 3 Stalkers coming in. I don't think they're going to cancel that. Nope. Going down to the natural base, but now with that earlier factory, Hellions were pushed out. 2 Hellions now, trying to go for as many probe kills as they can. Won't quite happen, though. Pushing it back, the Stalkers doing a lot of damage versus low Marine counts and low Hellion counts. They can really get rid of them quickly. Seed does successfully defend his natural base. Lost 6 workers, but a Widowmine drop could be potentially even more disastrous than that. And it wasn't even the Widowmine in the end which got the damage done. It was those 2 Hellions. Currently, worker-wise, our lovely Protoss player Seed is up 6, now 5 workers, but that's not really too much with mules, with everything. They've evened each other out. GuMiho was hoping for a little bit more damage. You're seeing the prowess of them Koreans pulling 2 SCVs to heal his Hellions, which I really like. You don't often see it, but you gotta remember, SCVs are mechanical. Medevac's mechanical. Hellions mechanical. All of them are healable by the SCVs. So really cool little game design thing there. GuMiho is getting up to what looks like is going to be a nice stim pack concussive shield timing. And not concussive shield, concussive shell timing. Moving across the map with 8 Marines, 2 Marauders, while on the top side of the map, what do we got? 2 Hellions. Maybe waiting for a proxy pylon or just a nice angle into the natural or the back of that exposed base. For now, though, they're not going to have a ton to do. Just going across the map in a different way, maybe to confuse any observers coming across, so there's not as much scouted. The observer of Seed is in a nice position, will spot the army moving in. There are 5 Stalkers, 2 Sentries, and that Mothership Core there. Push overcharge goes down, beautiful force field, will catch one of the Hellions. Second Hellion, picked up in the medevac, will pull back. Bottom part of the map, there's a Warp Prism heading into the main base, hopefully. Just delaying for a second right there, but no, we'll start up again. There is no Widowmine, no turret in the main, so it potentially can get some damage done. There is 1 Hellion desperately trying to do damage in the main base of Seed, but beautiful! Sim City for Seed will keep it out just perfectly. And now, really the units that have done the majority of the killing are gone. Where's the Warp Prism? Is the Warp Prism moving yet? No, just warping in Zealots, bottom part of the map. And even though GuMiho, yes, he can get kills, but he's got to wait for Stim. Stim is still about 10-15 seconds away, and it's going to be a little bit scared to engage. Oh, decent force fields will catch 2 Marines. Maybe not exactly what you'd want here, but GuMiho did force out those force fields, so it's going well for him. Stim Pack is finishing, so is Shield at the same time. Blink is just about done for Seed. They're going to be about the same. Zealot, or actually DT, will be moving into the main base. My bad. I saw the Twilight Council did not see the DT Shrine, which is... Let me find the DT Shrine. Oh, DT Shrine's in the most obvious place ever. Zealot will go into the main, taken out by that scan. But still, GuMiho is trying to maintain map control right here. And the DT will actually get into the natural, and oh, there it is, killed. GuMiho still is maintaining that map control. Seed can move out, but it can be potentially disastrous. He's doing a little bit more of a Korean style, going into the Immortal, Stalker, Sentry to push out eventually. Maybe some DTs, some sort of Archons to get some AoE damage done. But for now, you gotta remember, GuMiho is still on 2 bases. He's not quite able to produce the macro style that a lot of Terran players can on 3 bases. Seed does have a DT at the 3rd base of GuMiho, hoping to get a kill. But now, GuMiho's moving out, which was beautifully caught by an observer. On the top right-hand side of the map, how many Marines does he have with this? Only a couple Marines, but actually, surprisingly enough, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Marauders. Should be able to get a lot of damage done in the main. Maybe even snipe a tech structure. It's going to be a double-pronged or multi-pronged attack here. GuMiho does a perfect scan. Catches the observer, now moving into the natural base. At the same time, a lot of Stalkers. That's 9 Stalkers, 10 Stalkers go up in the main, but no, nothing to do with that now. Stim is done, but still, force fields are good. Zealots are quite good. These Zealots sadly do not have charge at the moment, though. Currently, GuMiho is going for a timing attack, Stim, combat shields, concussive shells, and +1 attack. Well, all Seed has is that, I don't actually know what it has. What is it? Blink and Warp Gate, so nothing too special. He is, as I was mentioning, playing a little bit more Korean style of getting Blink as a defensive tool, not necessarily an aggressive tool like a lot of foreigners use it on the NA scene. Another DT going into the natural base of GuMiho. This time there's a missile turret ready, though. Cancels the 3rd base beautifully enough. GuMiho, I think, thought there was an observer on his army, but it's in a slightly different position. Scan won't get much done. He DT of Seed now is going up to the third base, just making sure he knows when GuMiho moves out. When GuMiho moves out for his third base. Again, trying for the multi-pronged attack. A note, GuMiho does have a Marine at the third base of Seed, but now looks like a battle's going to go down. Seed has a nice Colossus in front of his army. Guardian Shield goes down. GuMiho does not want to take that battle and may be able to go up into the main, but no, man. There is 8, 9, 10, 11 Stalkers there, but he is pretty going to make it. He's going to try to make it happen. At the same time, the drop on the left-hand side probably go to the natural. Remember, there's no forge, so no photon cannons yet either. No photon cannons yet to defend any of these right off the bat. Natural base, there is that drop. It will be cleaned up by 2 beautifully placed Colossi, but still, Medevacs on the top side are not going to move in. They see the Stalkers pull out, and all the aggression of GuMiho, again and again, has been quite thoroughly denied. So far, if we just look at the units lost tab, it's 35,000. 3,500. That would be horrendous at this point in the game. 3,500 for GuMiho to the 2,000 of Seed. So a lot of these drops and Marines start to pile up. Looks like now GuMiho going for his third base, which I like. It is at that a little bit of exposed base. Like I was mentioning, you do have the option to be a little bit more aggressive and have a more central area to defend. 1DT of Seed sees all this going down, but at the same time, GuMiho is going for, once again, a multi-pronged attack. Can't do it quite at the third base, going for a drop in the natural, and when Seed moves back into his natural base, GuMiho may be able to get a flank on these Colossi on something, possibly a full flank, but not going to happen at all. GuMiho's second force is still hanging out there. He's actually going to go with a separate force to the third. GuMiho does go back into the main, hoping to snap a tech structure. Decent amount of Stalkers there, but now the third's at jeopardy. So is possibly the natural, but nope. GuMiho is simply getting all his units together. We'll be able to snipe a Warp Prism right here. Third base is very, very low on health, and there it goes down. One Widowmine, Burrow, second Widowmine down, and I love how GuMiho is playing. At first, it looked a little scary, but just for him, because he lost a lot earlier on. But now, as it started to not necessarily snowball, but he's really been able to get those multi-pronged attacks off. He was able to snipe the third base. How many workers has he killed? 11. Not too many. But overall, he's really kind of pulled Seed apart in some general areas, and has not maybe got the best damage done, but still, they're working. It's currently pretty even. Plus 1-1 is currently out for GuMiho. 2-2 is on the way, but now Seed is going to hit the back of that base right when these SCVs get there. How many SCVs do we have? 5. Same time, the Marines, the Bioforce of GuMiho's on the left-hand side may be able to flank this, but Mothership Corps is with the main army of Seed and should be able to teleport back if he needs to. GuMiho just waiting. He needs to have the army outside of that, but actually, while all this is going down, just barely, GuMiho will sneak by the main army, go to the natural base. There's a lot of Stalkers here, but I mean, Blink Stalkers got to be careful against Marauders. Zealots with charge are there. Pushing back, no actual Widowmine for GuMiho to retreat onto, which I assume is what Seed thought was going to happen. Same time, drop in the main, does pull up some Colossi there. We'll get rid of that one Widowmine. Oh, doesn't get rid of it. Doesn't quite see it. While all this is going down, that sad probe right there is not going to be able to get down as Nexus at the third base because of the Widowmines. I like this very drop-intensive multi-pronged attack style from GuMiho. There's been a couple times where it's been, it's getting a little bit shaky on his side, but he has been able to take it back. I love this. If you look at the third base right now, I think GuMiho is sending over a medevac to get healed because it's so low on health. Is that what he's going to do? No, just healing the SCVs, even better. I love it's the slight bits of attention which really do make you excel as a player. GuMiho does have a Widowmine on the backside of that base, and beautiful Seed is prepared to take a Widowmine hit. Only takes out a Zealot. And now, actually, GuMiho has a fantastic angle on the entire army of Seed if he wants to take it, but no, he's going to go for the natural base. He's pulling back. He thinks there's too much, and he may actually be able to get some sort of a flank here, or at least a surround going on. There's 3 Colossi for Seed. The armies are a little bit not quite timed properly, but Seed tries to retreat to the left-hand side. It'll not happen, though. GuMiho stems forward. A couple medevacs in the back of GuMiho's left-hand side army will be targeted. Not going to be killed, though, and now GuMiho has a fantastic position against only 2 Colossi and a decent amount of Stalkers right here. Stems forward as a nice concave. Will sort of lose that concave. with these time warps. I'll have you remember here, GuMiho is at 2-2. The Seed's only +1 attack. Only one Colossi left, and boom! Sniped in one hit. Desperately, Seed is trying to defend. Two Archons being warped in. Perfect blinks, but GG! GuMiho takes game 2. Well, just a very nice show of multi-pronged attacks and splitting up his army quite effectively. And I'm going to be back in like 1 second. I just need to fill my cup with water, so probably about 30 seconds. Guys, please a quick shout out to the lovely sponsor Hitbox and SpawningTool.com. Please go over and check them out. Also, just a lovely Team Grab. Check them out at Team Grab on Twitter. And please follow them here. Like I said, I'm just going to get a drink of water, and then I'll be back. All right, I am back. Hopefully, didn't cut to a break or anything because it was quite a quick comeback. But guys, that was game 2. Currently, GuMiho is up 2-0 in 2 very impressive games. Game 1 obviously was the cheese of his lifetime. Game 2 started off as maybe some sort of cheese, but really ended up into a nice macro game. Both players kind of fighting for their third base for the majority of that game. And GuMiho's drops were just a little bit too good, a little bit multi-pronged attack, which worked out fantastically. There was a couple drops that didn't quite work well in game 2, but overall, he was able to get the damage done and pull the Protoss army apart in a few key engagements. By the way, Frost is Seed. That he wasn't a step-in, correct? Okay, cool. I was pretty sure Frost was Seed, just the player ID, but we have had some occasions stand-in, so I didn't want to be butchering the name and all the prestige that goes with being called MVP's Seed. Game 3 is going to be on Bridgehead, which I believe is GuMiho's choice. I wouldn't factor it in a ton, as I know, as I've talked to some players and what they've told me is purely that with the pro players, if it's a best of 7, as long as it's not a best of 3, like getting the kind of strange, weird maps out of the way first. But I remind you guys, it's whoever wins 4 games first. GuMiho's up 2-0, so if he takes this game, it could be potentially disastrous. Loading in to Bridgehead. On the left-hand side, the Terran player, currently up 2-0. From MVP, it is GuMiho. And his opponent, on the right-hand side, the red Protoss player, conveniently in the opposites of colors. Both these players from MVP, it is Seed. In these maps, one thing I gotta point out, as either Terran or Protoss, it's just a weird main base to really set up your production. Terran obviously can make a cool sim city, just because all your tech labs, all your reactors go down on the right-hand side of them. So you can, I believe that's correct. I think it's correct. But you can get up those extra add-ons really easily. But for the Protoss, sometimes it's a little bit strange. You gotta be careful about how you do it. Seed opening up with what looks like a gateway. Yeah, it's gateway expand. For GuMiho, though, on the left-hand side of the map, I'm guessing it's going to be another Reaper expand, but actually, I completely take that back, because this is a gas first. This is really interesting. There's the racks. I assume right when the barracks is going to be done for GuMiho, he will go to that quick factory, which I like. He switches it up a little bit, trying to do as much as he can. But now, as I was saying, for Seed here, doing a nice gateway fast expand, which I assume that's going to be a wall. I like this on this map. Sometimes it can be a little bit scary, but actually, how Seed is positioned this gateway, even if the rocks behind it are taken down, you can't get by it. Yes, there's the rocks on the left-hand side, but they're the same health as the pylon, so it's kind of just like having a pylon. Seed at the moment, just getting his 2 gas, and just opening up, like I was mentioning, pretty much a gateway fast expand. Nothing, really quickly, my computer's freaking out. Setting. Okay, everything's good. GuMiho, like I was saying though, or sorry, Seed, like I was saying, just doing a 1 gate fast expand. GuMiho, as I was mentioning, will be getting down, interestingly enough, a reactor off of this Rex, maybe to compensate. But I'd say more. This is just going to be a really big pressure from him. Factory also coming out, and this is very aggressive. I'm excited to see how he's going to utilize this, especially on a map like Bridgehead. You do have these back rocks in the natural base of the Protoss player Seed. There's the natural base going down. There's a mothership core for Seed. And now he does have a full wall off at the front, which I also really like. But this could potentially get a little bit scary. Mentioning very aggressive coming out of GuMiho. First 2 Marines. Neither player has at all scouted each other yet. So this is kind of this is really interesting. It's a little bit strange too. That neither player has actually scouted each other. But now we're seeing the text choice of Seed here. It will be a Stargate, and man, I keep almost saying Frost, and it's just terrible. But Seed, doing the Stargate, as I was saying, sometimes it's a little bit, where do I want to put this tech? But I like it in the middle of the bases. If there's a drop in the natural, won't quite happen. Drop in the main, won't quite happen either. Or you won't quite scout the Stargate. Hopefully that'll be a Phoenix or an Oracle, which is after that. I hope he'll be going into some Phoenix play. If it was an Oracle expand, it would be a Stargate before the Nexus, I think, or at least a much quicker Oracle. First SCV of GuMiho will be coming out across the map, which will be his scout. Same thing as the started up Phoenix for Seed here, which, as I was mentioning, if it was Oracle, would have had to been a little bit earlier. So I like the Phoenix choice. Definitely you can deny drops quite easily. Doesn't look like GuMiho is going for a drop, at least right off the bat here. Medevac will come out, but 1 Hellion sent across the map, and will just be kind of taking in some proxy pylon locations. There's the bring up into the medevac, getting his actually just going for a Widowmine and a Hellion. Presume the Hellion in the middle will meet it up, but oh, the Phoenix, will it scout it? No, it won't. Oh, no, there, woo. There it is, barely. Seed does spot it, and now he's got a dangerous situation in that medevac. Yes, there's a Widowmine, but you got to be pretty clever to get the Widowmine down before this drop happens. Seeing the drop, oh no, he knows he can't make it over the cliff, drops all 3 units, and potentially they could be picked up. 1 Phoenix goes down to 20 health, but now it's okay. He'll be able to pick up a Hellion. His first Hellion, which was out on the map, picked up, will sadly be greeted by a full wall off. More Phoenixes are being pumped out. Seed here, just doing a standard Phoenix Colossus build, which I really like. I love Phoenix in any matchup at all. While GuMiho is moving out across the map, you got to remember his first medevac was taken down, so he's got to be really careful. He's only got the second medevac for either 2 reasons: to heal or to pick up and go home really quickly if he needs to, if there is some counter pressure. For now, though, GuMiho, he's got 4 Marines in his main base, more Marines on the way, just to be safe against an Oracle Phoenix, and even a Siege tank. On Seed's side of the map, what does he actually have? 4 Phoenixes, a Mothership Core, 2 Stalkers. Not quite in the best positions either. These Phoenixes could easily spot this Terran force, but they're not actually going to. And yeah, he cannot even see the health points going down on that, or on those rocks right there. But oh, there is the spot, the scout, the lovely spot. There is still the Widowmine though. GuMiho will bait the Marines into there. I don't know if that was me lagging or not, but maybe GuMiho will bait, sorry, the Phoenixes into that Widowmine. GuMiho will be taking on the rocks. Rocks are down, Forge is down, maybe for some cannons, but nope. GuMiho's moving in. There's no stim, no combat shields. This is a pure Marine force, which can be a little bit scary. There is one Siege Tank, though, which is going to be the brunt of the, not even DPS output, but the actual units that don't just die to the Stalkers. So that Siege Tank is going to be important to push off the Stalkers, especially at the front of this ramp, which is going to be an interesting phenomenon for Seed. Gotta remember here that he can warp in Zealots, I think, on the other side of it. Maybe not even on the other side. But just barely right there, yeah, he can't push out. He's got to be careful. He does take out those rocks, so maybe he can get some nice force fields up. There's a force field. Siege Tank is able to siege up, though, and will be able to hit all these tech structures. That's the Cybernetics Core. No Stalkers, no Sentries are left for Seed, and now there's 2 ways to get into his bases. While all this is going down, the natural base is being assaulted by a couple of Marines coming across the map, but I mean, I don't even know if that matters. GuMiho so aggressive. Siege Tank picks up, pulls out, and now at the back of the natural base, there is the Observer there and a couple Marines, but nope, those Phoenixes are gutsy. They believe in themselves. They will take that out. Now the Cybernetics Core is being started, but while all of this is happening, as I mentioned, only Zealots as a gateway unit. So this is not a position you want to be in as Protoss, especially when there's 2 ways into your main and there's no wall anymore. There are the Zealot Warpins. Actually, yeah, the Zealot Warpins. But now GuMiho sieging up. There still is no upgrades for GuMiho, but the Siege Tank is there. I'd love to see the Siege Tank picked up, but still so many Marines here. Phoenixes will be working on the medevac. There's now going to be no extra health. There's still so many Marines here. There is that one medevac in the back, expertly placed. How many Marines are here, you may ask? 29 Marine. The Siege Tank is still alive, and now is hailing away at the Zealots, desperately trying to warp in behind it. There's still a small force for Seed. An Immortal left. Siege Tank has to be very careful, but these Marines may be able to deal with it. And there, Immortal's gone. Immortal coming from behind. No, Siege Tank does siege up. That one last Phoenix is taken out. There's a Void right now started for GuMiho, or sorry, started for Seed, but Marines are streaming across the map, and this Siege Tank potentially can hit into those probes, so that could be potentially quite disastrous. But now a second Siege Tank is there. It will actually be the one to snipe the Immortal. Barely Seed holds this off, but I don't think he can engage past this. Maybe he can, actually. GuMiho's got to be really careful. No, Marines in the medevac do jump out, parachuting out into action immediately, but it'll be pushed back. Units lost at the moment, if I can get to that, is not too far away. This time, unlike Game 2, it's going to the majority of Seed here. He's lost a lot, and though he's lost a lot, but the biggest thing is he's on 2 base and has a robotics bay coming out. To boot, +1. So, he's going to have the tech he needs to push this back, unless GuMiho can make one final big push. GuMiho only now is taking a natural, but may I remind you guys, he's not of stim, he's not of combat shields, he's not a +1 of any sorts. Again, GuMiho dashes into the natural base, hoping to cancel it. He doesn't care about these Zealots. He needs to get economic damage done, and there it is. He does have the medevacs here. All these Marines can get up into the medevacs if he wants to pull out. But for now, he's taking a nice engagement for himself, focusing down the Void Ray, focusing down the Immortals, trying to get those really expensive units. But he's not... Oh, there's the Void Ray. We'll barely get it. Medevac goes down, though, and now GuMiho has no sustainable army behind the natural base. Or I guess in front of the natural base, actually. +1 is 2/3 of the way done currently for Seed here, and that's going to be really big once he's going to be able to actually push out. The contain has been destroyed. GuMiho back at home, he knows he's got to get his natural base. He does with the engineering bay. I'd love to see him maybe get +1, but all of his gas, actually getting a second gas now, but all of his gas went into the Siege Tank production, went into those medevacs. Sending how many SCVs? 10 SCVs to his natural base, getting the economy up. Currently look at the worker count, 46 for Seed to 21 of GuMiho. An incredible lead, and GuMiho needs to kill some probes, needs to cancel this, and gets a Siege Tank in there. Is going to do some fancy Siege Tank micro, and he's got to be so careful. A Siege Tank, 3 Marines, and a medevac, all in one. That's a very dicey situation if you lose it. Extended Thermal Lance, about halfway done for Seed. That will be what he needs to actually start pushing across the map. To boot, he's got an Observer on GuMiho's main base. I mean, if you look at the main base right now of GuMiho, it is so low on minerals. If you just look at that, it's completely mined out. While on the other side of the map, for Seed, it's not. Purely because of the mules of GuMiho, you can really see their effect right there. Natural base will get up, so is the mules of GuMiho. And now, he's going to have a problem deal with himself. Instead of him pushing out, he's lost his map control. We'll go for a drop on the right-hand side, maybe into the main, while the entire army of Seed is moving out across the map, going for the back rocks. There's the drop. Siege tank is down. Won't actually see the siege up. One Colossi is there to save the day for our Protoss brethren. Seed pushes it back, and now he's going for the back rocks. GuMiho's natural. GuMiho has, I mean, all his armies at the as in the main, so I'm really worried for him. This could potentially be disastrous. 36 army supply to the 75 of Seed. Seed moving in there. GuMiho knows about it, and oh man, how fast is he going to react? Orbital commands can fly, but not too fast. GG! Frost takes game 3. Currently 1-2. GuMiho winning the first 2. Frost taking this game 3, and this is a best of 7. We'll be getting into game 4, which let me see what map that will be on. Game 4 will be Cactus Valley, the first of the more standard traditional maps, and just purely not quite as easy to cheese on. As the lovely chat mentions, yes, there was no stem for GuMiho. It was complete. All of his all of his gas was put into the early Marauders, early Medivacs, and 1-2 siege tanks, even I think siege tanks and all. And because of that, his Marines, yes, they were efficient, but as soon as the Colossi got out, as soon as GuMiho saw that, he could not keep being aggressive. He did get the natural base of Seed desperately trying to defend, trying to pull it back for himself. But by then, Seed had defended too well and was up by like 20, 30 workers. As I mentioned, this next game, game 4 of this best of 7, will be on Cactus Valley. Like I was mentioning earlier on, there's a lot of pro players which they will pick the strange maps first if they have a best of 5, best of 7 series, because they don't want them to be the decider match. They don't want Dash and Terminal to be this decider match where GuMiho picks up, goes to the natural base, and is just so aggressive. And even though that is a huge just advantage for GuMiho, a great trait, it also can be a little bit of a, what do I want to say? A little bit of a bad thing for him. He can be a little bit over aggressive like he was in that game where after the damage was done, yes, he committed to it. Yes, he kind of had to follow through with it. But he could have got a natural base maybe quicker, kept making SCVs. Well, Seed just said, okay, I got to defend. Phoenix Colossi, once you get up to those key tech points where you have your Colossi out, you have your Phoenix, got +1, you're really in a fantastic position to push away just about anything. To either be even or in front of the Terran player even, because of how that style plays out. You really negate any damage that your opponent can even try in general early standard meta TVP. But this next game is going to be on Cactus Valley, as I mentioned. 4-player map. Maybe we'll see shenanigans. It'll have to be really cool shenanigans if we do. So far, Seed has not played at all cheesy. All of his games have been quite standard. And, I mean, he's really showed us that macro sense, which not even getting up to a big macro count, or not even get up to an incredible macro game, but he has the possibility. He has the mindset to keep the SCV count, probe count going. And just once you have that and you can defend, you start to go leagues ahead of your opponents. Without any further ado, guys, though, game 4, actually, yes, game 4, will be on Cactus Valley, as I mentioned. Seed versus GuMiho. It's my cue where I can take a swig of water, a drink of water, clear my throat. But guys, we are finally in Cactus Valley and the lovely vertical spawn positions. Top right-hand corner, we have the blue Terran player, currently up a game, currently 2-1 in favor of this man from MVP. It is GuMiho. And his opponent, currently down a game in the bottom right-hand corner, but managed to take a game back in the previous game. It is from MVP also, Seed. Playing as the annoying name Frost, which always will throw me off. I love how in Korean gaming houses and such, they just have, or even in North American houses, just whatever, gaming houses in general, they have a whole bunch of accounts that are just anyone can play on them. They'll generally be, they'll have like Grandmasters of Zerg and Protoss and Terran, and they'll just be kind of the community account where no one can trace your builds. All they know is you're someone on MVP. pretty much all you know. But still, could be a throwaway, could be a smurf, could be just about anything. These vertical spawn positions do favor any air aggression. If it was possibly the horizontal ones in the bottom, generally the player on the right will have a little bit better time doing air aggression, purely because it'll come into the left-hand side of the bottom left-hand base, but that's not the situation. Both players, this is probably the more even spawn position other than cross, the vertical. Horizontal, not so much, does slightly favor one of the players, generally on the right-hand side for the bottom, or the left-hand side on the top. In this case, will not be the case. GuMiho going for a quick CC first, changing it up on a 4-player map, completely acceptable, and I like it. While his opponent, Seed, is doing about what he's done in every game, doing the gateway fast expand. Unlike last game, there will be no wall. The architecture of the map won't quite allow it, but Seed is putting, both the players are putting themselves in a nice macro sense. GuMiho will now get down his his barracks and his gas. I'm really liking these Rax factory openers. I doubt he'll do Reapers because the gas was before the barracks. So I'm guessing it's going to be a factory play, or not even out of necessarily a factory play, but just not going for that early aggression with a Reaper. But on a 4-player map, you don't want to waste scans. Scans are like 300-ish minerals, which is 1 mule, somewhere around there. Possibly a little less. So you really don't want to waste those. Making an early Reaper does allow you to get in there, or even just making a Reaper out of the racks a little later gives you the speed you need to get across the map without sacrificing a medevac or a Hellion. It will be the Marine opening up like he has in the previous games, going into that early, not even Marine aggression, but Marine defense. The factory's going down, hoping to get a drop in, get some damage economic earlier on. The spawn position does, I think, favor GuMiho slightly more. I'm trying to think of how to put it. If you're in the counterclockwise position to your opponent, you're slightly favored on Cactus Valley because of the open base. I think I said it backwards earlier, but this will slightly, ever so slightly, favor GuMiho, especially with drops. At GuMiho's natural base, it finally is up. The bunker is down. Getting those early Marines will allow him to have a nice defense. Even the reactor on the barracks not only will allow him to get out quick Marines for the defense, but also the Hellions, which you're seeing to start populate TVP more and more. Just little drops here and there. As GuMiho's going out to do his first scouts, as I was mentioning, maybe a Reaper would help with that. But nope, he will use an SCB, and it'll be kindly greeted by a Stalker, Mothership Core pair, and they should be able to essentially incinerate it here. Natural base of Seed also is up, going up to Robo, just a very normal gateway fast expand for Seed, getting his Robo out, and he's just going to be defending until he can get his robotics bay out to be able to start his Colossi production. He will have an Observer by the time this Widowmine drop hits, which is coming out, I think, for GuMiho. No, actually, it may not be a Widowmine drop. It could just be, no, that's going to be a Hellion push out. Still not getting Starport, going even more racks, which is an interesting kind of change. I think that's very much because of his game sense and the reads he's got off of Seed. Each game, Seed has done a Robo Fast Expand, which always has allowed him to have the Observers ready, and it's not taking that much damage. But, like Game 1, he did actually take some damage. Sorry, Game 2 on Terraform, he did take some damage to Hellions. This time, no damage, I don't think. Maybe one worker. Okay, one worker died. But that's it. I like the read, though, as I was mentioning, not doing the Widowmine drop this time. Widowmines are going towards the middle of the map, which is an interesting idea. You could deny some scouting, could deny just some general army positioning, but I'd rather just have one do that. Looks like they're actually going to go for maybe the third of a natural base, a little bit like a burrowed ling. Seed is getting up his natural base economy and just playing as a normal Protoss would play, though Observer is almost out, and he's actually going to go Twilight Council. Like I was mentioning earlier on, a lot of Korean players kind of favor this more Blink Stalker defense style to the Blink Stalker aggression, which is still very good, but uses it more as a defense and not a 2-base all-in like you see on NA. GuMiho looking like he's going to go for a timing attack +1, stim, and combat shields coming down. Still no concussive shells, which is a little bit of an interesting deviation. Maybe because he doesn't see as many early stalkers from Seed, he's not getting that as quickly as he did on Terraform, which he got. I think he got concussive shells first. Or no, he got stim, then concussive shells, and timed them up so they'd finish at the same time. So this game is almost opening up like we saw in Terraform, almost exactly like Terraform, actually. Maybe that's because it's a little bit more of a standard map. But now, Frost, or Seed, will be going into DTs. He does have an observer on GuMiho's side of the map, right outside his natural base, but doesn't actually have a proxy pylon. I will point out, currently on the map, there's actually 4 observers and a warp prism moving out for a Seed. He has fantastic map control at the moment, knows what his opponent will be doing, and may even spot, yes, does spot the move out from GuMiho, which will just barely not be spotted the +1 on these units because it's just slightly delayed here. Still about 30 seconds left. But basically, GuMiho timing it perfectly, even boosts 2 medevacs over to join the rest of the army. All of this happens, a Marine of GuMiho in the top actually will spot this warp. Does he spot the warp prism? I don't think he spotted it. He may have. Oh, and won't spot it, but at the natural base of Seed, here's the big battle. How many Marauders do we have currently in this force? 4 Marauders. That's enough to target down most of these Stalkers, but it's going to be a dicey battle. Robotics Bay is only done now. Colossi is going to come out. There's still 2 Mortals with the main army, but nice. GuMiho will get an angle on the pylon, but oh! The medevac's got to be careful. 2 DTs war warped in on the top part of the map, going into the main, and won't be scattered by the Marine. That Marine believed so hard in himself. He so badly wanted to find a warp prism, wanted to find a pylon, but now it's going down. DT going for the 3rd base of GuMiho. DT in the main. See how it works out. There is Widow Mines there, but I mean, this is going to cause a scan, some other stuff, and there's already been a scan wasted on GuMiho getting an observer with his main army. Turret goes down, Marauders are there. They will snipe, but now the 3rd base is actually, I would say, could be sniped right there. GuMiho decides to cancel it, make it in his natural base. And now after all of this, Seed has taken a surprising control of this game. Still, GuMiho is playing his incredibly aggressive style. He likes his map control, but these DT drops and defending that first attack with just losing 100 minerals is completely worth it. Seed will snipe the 3rd base, a depot, and a couple SCVs here and there. He did get 7 SCVs killed, and he's even got ETL on the way. He's really been allowed to get into that nice, safe Protoss macro position. The only thing is that he does not have a 3rd base yet, which is slightly worrying only because of how aggressive GuMiho is. If he does lose a natural, does lose it somewhere, it could hit his economy big, but nope. Seed is ready to defend his main, and hopefully his natural now. Oh man, 1 Marine will die for the cause, but now there's Colossi, but everything's being pulled from, not everything will be pulled from the main. For a second there, he was pulling everything, but will only be everything that's not Stalker. There is 1 Stalker with the main force, which I actually think is a beautiful move. Just in case there's any Vikings, a medevac, you can start to snipe it. Remember guys, the 3rd base of Seed, at least the position he would like to take, the non-aggressive position, doesn't have a Widow Mine there. So still, his 3rd base has been denied for a very long time. Observers of Seed are still on the map, giving him very nice map control. And neither of these players are on 3 bases, which with really big is a favor for Seed. Currently, by the way, Seed is liking his low upgrade games, has Blink, has extended Thermal Lance, but no 1-1. Not even a Forge yet. He only got a Forge in the first couple games to defend these drops, which, with his beautiful Blink Stalker positioning, has defended that. Now Seed is moving out, but GuMiho is still on the left-hand side. 2-2 is on the way. Currently, Seed is 0-0, and he's going to go to cancel his 3rd base or the natural. There is so little army here right now for GuMiho. He's going to have to hit the back of the base. Almost all of his army are in medevac on the left-hand side, bottom of the map. Now, you never want a base trade with a Protoss, but that's if there's a mothership core with the main army, which there is not. Seed is stuck on this side of the map, going for the natural base, same time as the drop in the natural base, so there's actually 2 drops do go down. There's only 1 Colossi. Units drop actually behind the Colossi in the natural base. We'll be able to snipe it. Snipes a couple Stalkers. Stalkers actually have to blink out of their own base. Now Seed is pulling back after sniping the natural, just keeping some Marines there to wreak havoc as they can. GuMiho has surprisingly fewer army. It's actually 91 of Protoss player Seed to the 87 of GuMiho, so pretty even, but not with the army that's here on the map. And a very expensive army it is. 4 medevacs and, 7, 8 Marauders here will get sniped, and that's exactly what Seed wants. His natural base did survive, but oh! 2 Widowmines go off, a 3rd Widowmine goes off, but they only get 3 kills. There is still no Forge at the moment for a Seed. He's still on 0-0. 2-2 is almost done for GuMiho, which is what he'll need to make this defense happen. Colossi are not on the right side of this army. There is charge, I believe. Or sorry, no, there is no charge at all. Widowmines do go down on the ramp between the 3rd base and the natural, but Colossi were not quite there. That doesn't matter, though, because Colossi will be able to join up with the main army now. More units coming across the map from Seed. GuMiho playing a little bit more late game, mid game focused, while Seed is just saying, you know what, I don't need to blink Stalker all in, I'll just make a fantastic robo tech ball and push forward. So many SCVs, oh how many? It's gonna be scary if they get fried. It's like 24 SCVs right there. Yes, exactly 24. 2-2 is only about 20 seconds away, but it's not gonna quite be there. 2 Vikings on the left hand side will try to pick away these Colossi, but there is enough Stalkers. The SCVs need to be pulled if they're gonna be pulled, but not gonna happen. GG. Frost takes game 4, bring it 2-2. Sorry, Seed. I keep reading. I gotta read the end of game thing properly, or else it just messes up my casting capabilities. Guys, that was game 4. Currently 2-2. It looked pretty one-sided earlier on, but Seed was able to take it back in the past 2 games quite convincingly. Now we're getting to the less cheesy maps, which allowed GuMiho to not only be cheesy, obviously, but really portray and accurately display to us his aggressive nature, which is with his drops, his cheese, and everything like that. Works out really well for him. But now you're getting to the 4-player maps, the Coda-type maps. This next map will be Iron Fortress for game 5. What are 6 and 7 going to be? 6 would be Moonlight Madness. 7 will be Coda. You need to have 4 games or you need to win 4 games in a row to win. Someone in chat saying there's a ding dong. There was none here. I don't know if that's a joke about something, but no sounds coming from my end, at least, thankfully. I don't have a doorbell. Now seeing them load into the map, Iron Fortress, which still you can have a little bit of that. This time it's actually a clockwise advantage, not a counterclockwise advantage to air. But I don't think that's going to make too much of a difference. Seed has been fantastic at defending, and he has gone Stargate. He's shown he can do that. But at the same time, GuMiho has been really good, really on it to defend all his bases. Now we are loading into Iron Fortress, guys. This is an exciting game 5. It is currently 2-2. You need 4 wins to take it. This could potentially go all the way to game 7. Alrighty, we are here on Iron Fortress. Zerg favored map, obviously. Neither of these players Zerg. Top left-hand corner, though, from MVP, it is the blue Terran player, GuMiho. That intense zoom. You gotta zoom in from, like, hitting Z, so you're all the way zoomed out, and then whoosh, getting it really nice. But his opponent in the top right-hand corner, the red Protoss player, give it up for Seed. Like I was saying, slight advantage for I think it's now clockwise positioning. Yeah, just for air, but we're not gonna worry about that too much for now. Cactus Valley. Sorry, Iron Fortress. Wait, is this Iron Fortress or Cactus Valley? I'm forgetting. I believe this is Iron Fortress. Okay, cool. Iron Fortress obviously does have the Zelnaga in the middle, but the biggest thing is to notice the 3rd bases, obviously, that are touching in the horizontal spawn positions. None of these games actually have gone to intense late macro games. Well, actually, they have gone pretty late into the mid to late game, but neither of the players have decided to go to that macro intense level. Talking about people in chat about doorbells. I do not know. This time, GuMiho looks like he's opening up with finally a Reaper Fast Expand, which is a really cool mix-up, and yeah, I think it will be because of the timing. We do see a very early Probe Scout from Seed, and he's not opening up incredibly aggressively. I doubt it's going to be a proxy, anything like that, but it definitely could be. Seed moving up into the main base, spots the rack, spots everything. He's going to go after this SCV. Probe does with that particle beam versus the SCV's fusion cutter, but not quite going to happen. Honestly, the name of the workers is a lot cooler than most of the names of other things in this game, but still pretty cool. There's the Reaper started. It will be able to deny this probe. I don't think SCVs should be pulled to deal with it. That's exactly what GuMiho thinks too. Other side of the map for Seed. Seed looks like he's going to open another gate fast expand, which is entirely acceptable. There's not a ton of deviations you can do in TVP or PVT actually in this situation. But for Seed, I mean, you can do Stargate, you can do some blank pressure DTs, whatever, but not really off of one gas. This is definitely an expansion, which is also going to be for GuMiho. Reaper expansion into quite a standard bio play, it looks like. Not going to go for that quick factory this time. Maybe Hellions, we'll have to see. Reaper is sending across the map, scouts the third base, looking for any proxy pylons that you really normally see in these positions. And yeah, he's being really careful. He's not actually going to go to his opponent's side of the map. He's using this Reaper so well for scouting. He's not even going to send out an SCV. Just how much this build, I think, relies on that. He is getting down 3 racks. This looks like it's going to be a stim timing Marine Marauder push, which will work pretty well in these horizontal positions. Over here for Seed, getting up that lovely Mothership Core. Stalker coming out. And the biggest thing, no cactus on this map. Yeah, there's no cactus on this map, sadly. It's called Iron Fortress. There's no cactus on the other map, as far as I know, Cactus Valley, unless it's on the really high graphic settings. Interestingly enough, the Reaper of GuMiho, actually, he thinks, I'd assume he knew in the top right-hand corner because of how the probe came in, but maybe not. We'll have to see. Oh, wait, no, the probe is only in the main base. I take that back. So, still, GuMiho is going to have a very late scout, not going to affect his push-out that much. It will, however, affect if the Stalker of Seed spots it. The Stalker of Seed making sure he knows how greedy GuMiho is. And I just got to point this out, as anyone who doesn't play Protoss, this is really hard to not lose the Stalker early on, which is fantastic for GuMiho. Or, sorry, fantastic for Seed. Keeping it alive even gets a kill. I mean, that's just amazing. Oh! And that's why it's scary. Going up a ramp. Will pull back. Will not die. Thankfully, gets 1 SCV kill, which is always worth it. And now, GuMiho is posturing for a very aggressive push, and yep, he's making 1 Marauder time, throwing another Tech Lab on this 3rd gate, just to keep that Marauder production up, and I'm guessing to also get combat shields. Stim and combat shields, or Stim and concussive, will finish about the same time, and this is going to be a potentially deadly threat, hitting around the 9 to 10 minute mark. Oh, we have Seed here. His Robo facility, or I believe his Robo facility, it's done now. His Robo Bay still going to be a decent amount of way in the future. How much does it take for a Robo Bay if I can get there? Robotics Bay actually is about a minute, so if he puts it down about now, he can do it. But no, actually, Seed is deciding to go to Twilight Council. Instead of putting that gas into the Robo Bay, he still could put it down, but it's deciding not to at the moment. He's gonna need to have really nice micro, a good blink, which he very well could have against this Terran push-out. Concussive shells on the way for GuMiho, making his decision, and I think it's a good move. He's seen Twilight Council almost every game for Seed, except for the game he went Phoenix Colossi. So it's definitely going to be a better little scout for him. Observer of Seed spots all this going down, and oh, it's triggering in his head. He knows he needs to defend, and DTs are completely worth it. Currently, GuMiho only is on 2 bases. So, because of that, he may not quite have as many scans as he may want. He's got to be careful. Seed making so many observers. Really, actually, I feel like he has perfect macro, and because of that, he can force out these observers, but that does force back his gas by quite a lot. GuMiho is now being aggressive. 20 more Marines, 2 Marauders. Let's see how it works out. 1 Immortal coming from the ramp, but oh, GuMiho's got to be careful. Stims actually for a 2nd time, I think, right there. Or nope, not a 2nd time. Goes into the main. Will actually snipe an Immortal. Photon overcharge, the natural goes down. And now there's going to be a Photon overcharge in the main. GuMiho will be kiting beautifully against these Zealots. He's going to reset the army for Seed, but I think he can't really do anything at this point. This one pylon will sadly die. It's at jeopardy there. But I mean, I think honestly, he didn't do quite as much damage as he would have liked to. Let's look at the units lost tab. 1,300 to 1,200. Not too much different. And when the Terran player is gone for a posture like this, especially when both players are on completely even workers, it could potentially be scary. I only say that because normally, as a Terran player, you want to be up a little bit in the upgrades, which he's not going to be because he's committed a lot to the getting stim pack quickly, getting concussive shells, and getting a tech lab, the plethora of units. He now is getting double medevac out, which is fantastic for GuMiho. We've seen very low macro games so far, and I like that. Both players have been playing really well and have had great economy. Both players playing almost the same every game. Seed loving his DT drops, GuMiho loving his drops. There's the DTs going into the main. Still no missile turret, nothing for GuMiho. Oh, there's the missile turret going down. He knows about it. Saw them drop out of that supply depot, or saw the shimmer. Saw the mirage, more like. But doesn't actually have a scan. There's the scan. We'll pick off one. Can he get the second one? That supply depot will die to the fire if he's not careful. There it goes down. No SCV is going to save that supply depot, sadly, but at the same time, at the natural base of Seed, GuMiho going for another attack. We'll pick off an Immortal, a Zealot, forces Guardian Shield, but not a Photon Overcharge yet. This is working out very well for GuMiho, surprisingly enough. Does snipe those DTs, stops any aggression in his main, now is going up into the main base of Seed, trying to do more damage. Actually, beautiful! GuMiho picks up units in the medevac, and yeah, he's just going to get it head on out of there. Get the heck out of Dodge, and it's working. Actually, it's working well for him. He has not lost as he possibly could lose. At the same time, you look at the units lost. Actually, GuMiho's ahead by 1,000. I was reading that wrong. For some reason in my head, I think the bigger number was better in units lost, which is kind of weird. But another DT in the main base of GuMiho here, trying to get more damage done. At the same time, a drop is coming out, but it was spotted. I'd love GuMiho. Yeah, I'd love to just do another multi-pronged attack. There is Blink Stalkers, but now those Stalkers are going to deal with the drop in the main. Well, there's a drop in the natural. Photon Overcharge does go down. Widowmine also goes down the natural base, but now the units of GuMiho are in the main, and they're not going to get economic damage done. Not that much at least, but maybe ever so light, ever so slowly, they will get rid of some of the production. GuMiho counting so much on these gateway units, it's really big. And will, barely gets out with one medevac. I don't even think one medevac here. Now it's going to go down. It's actually evened up units lost-wise count a lot. Like I was mentioning, neither of these players are really economic players. Or not necessarily, not even economic players. They're not late-game types of guys. At least GuMiho, for that matter. His third base is coming down, but I don't know if he'll be able to move it out. Each game has kind of gone GuMiho being very aggressive. And DT drop obviously from Seed, but after that aggression is done, whether it did damage or not, it hasn't quite killed the tech that GuMiho wanted to, really allowing Seed to get up to the nice tech place, this time without Colossus, but with his big gateway army, with the DTs, with the sentries, with enough force fields and everything on it. There is still one DT, a scan goes down, and it will be sniped, but now beautiful force fields do go down, one Guardian Shield. Mothership Core is not with this army at the moment, so no time warps, but still, a lot of the army was kind of siphoned off for GuMiho right there. Third base of GuMiho will help him with the muling. He will be able to get out a nice bio amount of units. How many racks does he have? 5 racks. But still, Seed is looking pretty scary. The amount of Marauders with GuMiho's force is quite a lot, though. Currently, he has 8, 9, 10, 11. But does he have enough to really defend this? Seed pushing forward aggressively. GuMiho's like, there's got to be something here. Snipes an Observer, does not get the DT. Or there's no DT, but he believed there was a DT right there. We got to be honest here, guys. He didn't think he could be losing that much. Unlike the previous games, though, GuMiho is at 1-1, but doesn't have the gas to push on a 2-2, or at least not the inclination yet. Again, beautiful force fields, supply depots are being sniped, and at least if they're sniped, it won't quite supply block GuMiho. He anticipated this, we'll see what goes on. That Immortal, getting his 3rd kill of the day, feeling pretty proud of himself. But for now, Seed will just move back. At the same time all this was going down, there was a Widowmine drop, my apologies, and the natural base of Seed won't do a lot of damage. 4 workers killed. So far, GuMiho has killed a total of 16 workers to the 3 that Seed has killed. But if we look at the incomes, GuMiho is about 10-ish, 11 workers ahead, so he's doing fantastic for himself. Combined with mules, this is not the place Seed wants to be, especially when GuMiho is expanding while he attacks, third base moving out. Even though GuMiho was pushed back considerably in that last attack, he did not lose his important tech units, that is, the Medevacs and the Marauders with this composition, which just slaughters gateway units. There's not that many Zealots for Seed here, only 5 in total. He's got to be very careful. GuMiho posturing for an attack. Currently has 1-1. Just remember, Storm is about 10 or 20 seconds away, but GuMiho is not going to let that happen, pushing in. Beautiful force fields do go down from Seed. He knows he needs to buy himself a little bit of time. Photon Overcharge also goes down. Barely GuMiho is on that side of the Photon Overcharge, but oh, whoa! Picks up units into his Medevacs, and GG. GuMiho going 3-2. Still 1 game left, guys. This is a best of 4. Like I was saying, GuMiho, even though he lost a lot from his drops, he always got a little bit of damage done. He didn't even lose a lot. It's just that Seed defended quite well and was prepared for them. But still, the multi-pronged attacks really, over time, got damage done. And then each game, GuMiho was able to push at the 15, 16, 17-minute mark, or the other way around, Seed was. Kind of after all the damage happened and the dust settled, where were they? And in 3 out of the 5 games, GuMiho has been slightly ahead, able to push in. If Seed had bought himself just a couple more minutes, maybe a minute, he would have had that storm done. And really, the beautiful storms with his force fields would have just demolished the Terran army. GuMiho didn't even get a Viking because there's simply no Colossi. Guys, we're going to be getting into Game 6, which is Moonlight Madness. Like I was saying, the games kind of farther along in the series are generally on maps they're a little more comfortable with, which surprises me. The last map is Coda. If it comes down to 3-3, they want that even map. But Moonlight Madness it's set up kind of like a standard map. It looks like a standard map, but you still got those back rocks, potentially disastrous. I guessing this would be GuMiho's pick. Yet on the other hand, could very well be Seed's. But without any further ado, the players I accidentally just introduced right there in the bottom left-hand corner. It is from MVP, GuMiho. And his opponent in the top right-hand corner, also hailing from MVP, both these players from Korea. It is the red Protoss player. Give it up for Seed. Incredibly early SCV scout by GuMiho. I'm guessing it's going to be a proxy Rax. We'll see what happens though. Maybe it's just a very careful scout. This could have possibly been Seed's scout of this, or a pick of the map. So maybe some shenanigans GuMiho thinks is going on. And yeah, he's making a full scout. What's he doing? There's the Rax going down. If our observer really quickly goes to Seed's view, that is 1. You notice how much room in the main is really dark in the beginning. And you can also get into the natural base so easily because of that. All that room on the left-hand side of the base, at least on the top right-hand base for Seed. He's doing his normal gateway fast expand, and he's not going to spot the Rax of GuMiho unless he scouts it because he's doing a really nice SimCity. The one situation where you want to throw your buildings all over the place in your main to scout this Rax, but not going to happen. Second Rax is on, or no, sorry, first Rax still going. There's a second Rax and couldn't find it, sadly. But GuMiho not getting gas, nothing like that. This is just going to be a standard Marine push in. Oh, will Frost spot this? Sorry, Seed spot this. Let's see. He still does not even see the SCV, has not had a chance. I'm guessing a second Rax is going to come down, but just waiting for that to come down. There it is. Can Seed see it, you may ask? No. When this pylon finishes, though, I think he will be able to see one of the Rax. Let's see, guys. Yep. There it is. Spots the bunker, actually. My bad. And now how's he going to react? Pulling all the probes. The Marine's already there. Seed knows he's got to deal with it like this, though. Probes get a nice surround. SCV still is alive, though. I'll have you remember that. And the Marine is still alive. So, oh man, I thought Marine, it's got a micro a little, but Marine, the barracks is almost done. If it gets into the bunker, it's so close, it almost automatically changes. Oh, come on, the Marine! Oh, is it going to go down? SCV's in the bunker, but not the Marine. More probes are being pulled because this is about as good as it can get for a Terran player here. There's the Marine isn't going to go inside. SCV's trying to heal, but the Marine can't get inside. Oh man, went almost from a perfect positioning for this bunker, and not so good for GuMiho. And there's GG, bringing it to game 3. That was just a denied bunker rush. Seed won that, but guys, we're gonna get to game 7, which is gonna be on Coda. Like I was saying, very standard map. They feel comfortable with it, but right there, it almost looked, I actually want to say slightly impossible for Seed to at least take down the bunker because of how it was positioned between the racks. Ideally, I think what you actually wanted was the bunker to be one space away from that barracks. So the Marine could get out in between that and then get into the racks, instead of the Marine getting out and kind of having to take a circle around to get into the bunker. Guys, this is going to go to game 7. I don't know where my Fs went right there, but it's going to be game 7 of the night. This is exciting, guys. 2 or 3-3 are I think it was Marty. It was Scott and Martin here. That is Beasts. What is it? Beast and Techno got together, 2 fantastic players, and this is going to be incredibly exciting. A quick shout out to our lovely sponsor, spawningtool.com. Head over to spawningtool.com, man. I get it confused. Spawningtool.com. Analyze replays. All these replays from tonight will be uploaded. So, I mean, if you want to do any of these builds, any sort of shenanigans, analyze them better than me or cast them yourself, whatever, go over to spawningtool.com and you can see GuMiho versus Seed in this best of 7, a total of 7 games. Here we are, guys, coming on to Coda. Up here in the top left-hand corner, we have the blue Terran player, GuMiho, from MVP. And his opponent in the bottom right-hand corner, the lovely red Protoss player, bringing it back last game with that bunker rush / proxy racks defense. It is Seed. This is going to be, I feel like, a little bit more of an exciting game. Or not, sorry, not exciting. This is going to be a little bit more of a macro hold back game. Maybe GuMiho, I mean, he does feel comfortable in his hyper-aggressive style, but not quite in those cheeses. I don't know. For now, though, Coda, maybe not the best map to do it. At least we don't see it out of either of these players at the moment. I'd like to see, here's what I'm guessing, to see maybe a Reaper Fast Expand on this map. I take it back as we don't see anything. GuMiho does not like the Reaper Fast Expands, and nope, it's going to be another factory, or maybe a Widowmine drop, something of the sort. Something getting out into the factory. While his opponent, again, Seed, liking his 1-gate Fast Expand, and it's not broke, why fix it? Did fail in one of the first games, but not the rest of them. We do see a probe coming out for Seed, and that was actually rallied to the other side of the map. I think he's just being ultra safe. Maybe on the other hand, it may spot something. Just heading for the main base of GuMiho. I do really like this map. I wish Echo would have been kept in the map pool. Sadly, it was not. Maybe it was too favored for one race. I felt like it was a pretty even map, so is this. But they wanted space for some of the really cool Team Liquid map contest winners, which I think is a fine thing to do. Currently, the probe of Seed heading into the main base of GuMiho. And he's going to see, essentially, what GuMiho has done every single other game, except for that little shenanigan. And there's the probe trying to get its claws, or actually, what's it called? It's particle beams into that SCV. There's the factory coming down. It's going to be what I hope to be a Widowmine drop. I prefer a big Hellion push, actually, because of the tendency for Seed to go into the 1-gate Fast Expand and Robo Facility out so quickly with the observers. Probe in the middle will not take the Zelnaga tower, so won't know about any of the early aggression possibly coming out of GuMiho. Still doesn't look like it, though. I mean, there's a lot of places you can go from here. The Reaper Fast Expand is a little bit like the Fast Expand in PvZ, as in, you know where they're going from there. And even with that, yes, you can push out more Reapers, but generally, okay, they're going for an economic expand. They compensate for the little bit of, not even greed, but the economic move with the Reaper, which we're not seeing here. We're seeing more of the one gate fast expand. Sorry, my PvZ references, but the one gate fast expand-esque thing where, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities that come out of factory racks or just going that gas first. You can even, you don't need to do it for Banshee, but you can do stuff like that with Banshee. You can even push out, you can even get a Reaper like GuMiho is doing. It opens up a lot more possibilities. Mothership Core of Seed heading across the map, so is a Stalker. Mothership Core Stalker opener, always a fun thing to do. Get a little damage done early on, but now there's double Widowmine, which could dead counter this if Seed is not careful. He will be able to work on these supply depots. Reaper comes out, Seed does not spot it, but he's got to be careful. I love this just gradual pushing forward, a little bit like siege tanks with these Widowmines, just unsieging, unburrowing, going forward, going back down, just gradually pushing away units, but not quite going to make it happen. Now 2 Hellions are out, but oh, those Hellions actually can't engage in the Mothership Core. It's double Stalker. The Reaper now is in the main base of C for GuMiho, doing a little damage in the supply depot. My bad, pylon. But we'll just go for as many probes as can. Oh, he's got to be really careful. Right now, GuMiho is not only microing the Widowmines, but also that Reaper, so you got to have some respect for this guy. Natural base is going down for Seed. Still has somewhat of a contain and a nice angle on the supply depot. Now the sad thing about going factory first is unless you're going Hellions, thankfully, like actually not thankfully, like GuMiho's doing, he's not doing that early Hellion with the reactor on the barracks. You can't get out those Hellions and or Marines quite as quickly. Seed is pulling back, and looks like GuMiho's doing like he did 2 games ago. Just a big 3 racks push, which is going to have stim and them concussive shields. It's a little bit later than what he did before, not quite as aggressive. It's going to hit slightly later, but still, I like it. And I'd like to see it work maybe in this game. It's still pretty even though, and both of these players have played fantastically. 2 Hellions, GuMiho moving across the map, and because of the kind of damage done and whatnot, oh, actually, I'll take that back. I was going to say the Stalkers are not going to quite be in the right positions, but no. Seed knows what he's got to be careful about. The Mothership Core is between the natural and the main. Stalkers in the natural. The one thing I would be worried about is like a Widowmine drop, because he did see those 2 early Widowmines, but he knows he's got a decent amount of time because the starport was not down quite yet, and he did get a scout into the main base with that early push out, which is something you always got to remember. As I've mentioned before, again and again, Seed gets out such an early observer. Not even an early observer, but he doesn't rush to Colossi. He's not a Protoss player that says, I need to get Colossi, that's how I win in TVP. He's saying, you know what, I got a couple things up my sleeve I can do, but I know I need to get observers. Number 1, to take fantastic map control. Number 2, to see any Widowmines. GuMiho is now pushing out at a much earlier timing than we saw in Game 1, with 4 Marauders. Sorry, not Game 1. Just a couple games ago when we did the same build. Much earlier timing, 4 Marauders. What do we got? 5 Marines here, I think. 6 Marines, these 2 Hellions, and the Widowmine. Seed spots it, though. Even spots a medevac going over. He knows there's drop potential out of this army. What does Seed have here to defend GuMiho? 5 Stalkers, 2 Sentries, Mothership Core, and he will have 2 Photon Overcharges. Yes, 200 out of 200 energy. So he will have a beautiful Photon Overcharge ready for both of his bases, which could completely negate this army, especially with observers. There's it in the natural. What about in the main? GuMiho has 2 Widowmine and 2 Hellions. Those Hellions actually could survive for a little while, but now is the overcharge going to happen on the main? Seed's deciding actually not to, maybe not. Nope, there it is. We see 6 kills, and will the medevac get away? Maybe overstaying its stay. No, it doesn't, because the observer was there to take out the Widowmine, which means the Nexus did not focus down the medevac right there. Seed a little bit more preoccupied with just getting a nice mining time up or getting nice economy up and not taking too much of that damage. But now GuMiho heading into the natural base. GuMiho has stim, combat shields, and concussive shells. See how he does this. There is an observer right on top of GuMiho's army, so I mean, Seed, every step of the way is defending, even sees the jump up into the main, and how does Seed defend this? This is just a little bit too many units to defend only with Photon Overcharge. There's a stim up, same time the natural base, a couple Marines trying to do something, but back to the main. Oh, the army of Seed is actually a little bit split up here. Guardian Shield goes down, but on top of the probes, maybe to defend some Hellions here, but
the Immortals also themselves scary position. I mean, all the gas, a lot of income has been invested into these Immortals, and both may be sniped here. GuMiho being very aggressive. I love this style, working out great for him. At the same time, natural base will be pushed. Will those medevacs get away in the main? Yes, they are still alive. Seed has to pull back because of that early double photon overcharge. Actually, was not the best for him. Probes being pulled the main, and GG. GuMiho, 4-3. Walks away with $60 and is tonight's Fight Night victor. I like that build, especially as a Terran in TVP. It's a nice aggressive build, but GuMiho showing just how good of an aggressive player he is. Yet on the other hand, that was 4-3. Very close. It could have gone either way. And both players showed incredible prowess in the game of StarCraft 2. And now we see GuMiho walking away with nice $60. Be able to do whatever he wishes with that. And I'm kind of curious whether GuMiho has actually played in the Fight Nights before. I'll look in a little while. But both players walking away with a nice sum of money for their games, putting on fantastic 7-game series. 3 GuMiho time. And that is it game-wise for the night. But guys, before you leave, if you're on Team Liquid, please head over to Hitbox just to see and to follow, see what Hitbox can do. Really cool things. It's even got GIFs in the chat. But if you can, head over to hitbox.com in general, one of our fantastic sponsors making every week a show match happen. Also, thanks to Team Gravity for letting me cast. And a shout out to, as usual, our amazing sponsor, Spawning Tool, which really caters to a lot of the needs of Team Gravity, just casting wise, always getting us good information and info before we cast, really prepping us in the best way possible. Which, if you're a caster out there, please heading over to spawningtool.com to get a little bit of extra information. Or, on the other hand, you can also, if you're simply a player, you'll want to know the current meta, you've been out of the game for a little while, or maybe you want to look at how other players are doing or emulate, follow their builds. SpawningTool.com can help you with that if you head over there. And last, I am Drenok, caster and solo caster now, I guess, because I've solo casted like 3 or 4 events in a row now, except for this morning with Poison. But I am Drenok. My lovely observer and streamer is Beast. Please follow me at twitter.com/Drenok or twitch.tv/Drenok. It always means a lot. That is DRENNOC. Don't cast in my channel a lot. I do stream, but if you want to know when I cast other stuff, normally with a co-caster, sometimes solo, please follow me, twitter.com/Drenok, and support whoever you can. Please go over and support some random player out there streaming, someone with a few views, whether it's on Hitbox or whether it is on Twitch, whatever out there. Just support StarCraft. Thanks, guys, so much. Have a lovely night. As usual, Beast is the fantastic observer and streamer. I am Drenok. This is Team Gravity Fight Night. See you guys soon.